Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 33.
Is it 33?
It is 33.
You do so much more research than I do.
I double-checked on our home at spiderduck.net to make sure that it was 33.
Much better.
It is episode 33 of the Trevor and Ian talk show. I am Trevor.
I am Ian. I'm also trying to get my research all set up for what we're going to talk about today. We don't have anything set to talk about, not that we usually do.
No.
I trying to keep some stuff lighthearted. It's been a particularly tough week for the nation.
Well, let's say it's been a shitty week for the nation.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat. Very, very shitty fucking week.
Shitty bang bang.
Anything that makes me feel bad for Florida is...
Man, usually it's like, you just think about it and you're just like, Florida be cray. And then this week it's just like, fuck.
Yeah, so Florida's having the worst week ever, and our hearts go out to everyone.
Absolutely, yeah.
But this podcast isn't really I guess we did try to take down, some high school kids at a certain point, but which, hey, good news about that. The system totally worked. If you can't sense my sarcasm,
yeah.
But we might delve into a little bit of that at the end. I get a little too emotional about the whole thing, and but right now let's keep it light. I know that Trevor's got some comic stuff to talk about. We probably got some movie stuff to talk about. And I definitely got some music recommendations. So yeah, let's delve right into it. Where you at, man? What are you? Let's start. I think the same way from last time. What are you reading right now?
Well, I've been reading all of the Rebirth stuff. When I say all of the Rebirth stuff, I mean all of the Rebirth stuff. So if you're thinking about getting these comics, I would wait because I'm probably going to spoil some stuff. What have you read so far?
Just the DC Rebirth. Actually, I read the issue 1 DC Rebirth. That was the big annual, and then I decided to. I actually kind of went back to Marvel, and I am really into.
Son of a bitch.
I'm really into the Captain Marvel stuff right now. It's the Carol Danvers current I gotta remember who's writing right now. It's unbelievable. I mean, I only have the first 3 issues is what I could find so far, and the first issue alone was enough to get me hooked. I'm very excited by everything that's kind of leading to. It has me even more excited to see when she gets introduced in the in Infinity War. Now, I think she's going to be in Infinity War Part 1 as well. And what gets me even more excited about that is the casting choice. I've heard now that the idea, the rumor as of 2 weeks ago was Brie Larson. And in fact, I think we actually talked about her.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And what's amusing with that is, as I'm reading it, I'm totally seeing Charlize Theron, especially because they have her, Carol Danvers now has short hair, and I'm kind of seeing Charlize Theron, but I also know that she's a bit older right now, and I think Marvel is kind of staying within the confines, unless you're Robert Downey Jr., kind of younger casting. I'd like to see Charlize Theron get it because I think she'd do a good job, but I also think that Brie Larson would be amazing.
Yeah, I think so.
I really do. I just am interested to see. I think whoever that casting decides to do it is going to be a fine choice. I think they've knocked it out of the park so far with all their casting. I wish we would have got to see a little bit more of Aaron Tyler Johnson's Quicksilver. It does bum me. Spoiler alert for Ultron, but
it's over a year, guys. You should have seen.
Yeah, I wish we would have got to see a little bit more on that, but I'm content enough. With what we talked about last time with them working out Scarlet Witch. I just feel like that character wasn't explored nearly enough. The Quicksilver character and. I like the Evan Peters portrayal, but they don't use him nearly enough either. And honestly, since the last time we met, I still haven't seen Apocalypse.
I didn't see it either.
I know, I'm a little bummed out about that.
Yeah.
I heard it's not great, but I still haven't seen it. I still want to see it.
I do want to see it too, but I wasn't in a hurry to see it after some trepidation there.
We can talk about E3.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because there's a lot of shit going on this week for video games and stuff.
We need to talk about.
But back into the DC Comics Rebirth stuff. I'm not a huge Superman guy, but fucking the new issue of Action Comics.
I like where it's going.
Which
I haven't read it yet. I got to
yet?
go pick up a copy of it. Actually, I almost picked up the Rebirth Green Lantern book.
It's the Rebirth Green Lantern is different because it's I want to say I'm pretty sure it's Guy Gardner is basically leading 2 new Green Lanterns.
There's the
Earth.
female Green Lantern,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Who they introduced in the Rebirth annual.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember her name. I think it's Jessica, I want to say. But I remember the male one is named Simon Baz. I remember his name. But I read both the one-shot for that and the #1 issue. And it seems like it's going in an interesting place. It's they're going to go real heavy into a war against the Red Lanterns, it looks like.
I'm into it.
Yeah, so
I'm into it.
So it could be pretty cool. I mean, it takes place after Blackest Night and all that, so it should be interesting. But Action Comics is, man, like,
they're finally figuring out a way to make it interesting.
It's fucking crazy. Okay, Lex Luthor is Superman, and then the New 52 This is kind of like in the New 52 world, but not, because the Rebirth and the pudding and the... Whoa, can't make those jokes anymore.
Can't do Cosby anymore.
Yeah, damn it.
I'm not too hung up on it. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
No,
I don't need the Cosby.
Lex Luthor is Superman, and Superman died, but the old pre-52 Superman is alive and now in that world and is taking over as Superman, but he has his wife Lois Lane, who they are basically hiding on a farm, so as not to be discovered. And they have a son named John, named after Jonathan, his father.
Okay.
So, in the Action Comics, basically that's when the old new Superman comes out of hiding and is fighting and goes up against Lex Luthor. But then I think the New 52 Superman actually is alive because Clark Kent shows up as these two are like going head to head, and then Doomsday shows up. So it'd be cray.
Tis cray.
Yeah. And then I also read Superman #1, not the one shot. Well, I read that too, but the one shot basically just has the older Superman talking with Lana Lang, and he gives New 52 Superman a proper burial.
Okay.
With his parents on Earth here. So that was that one. But the Superman #1, the actual ongoing series for Rebirth, is actually pretty interesting because it seems like it's going to delve into John, Superman's son, who's like, I want to say 9 or 10, but just discovering his powers.
Uh-huh.
And they do a really good job of like him being like a brash young boy wanting to display his powers and you know, and his emotions get the best of him in that. And he does something really bad. Basically, I mean, sorry, I'm going to spoil a bunch of stuff here for everybody. But you should go read this
He's also spoiling it for me, by the way.
Yeah,
like he's truly spoiling it for me, which is fine. I will concede to that.
But at the same time, if I didn't spoil it for Ian, then he might not be interested.
Hey, you spoiled a little bit for the Rebirth, and I still loved every minute, like every page of that was great, especially the ending.
Yes.
The ending, which made me literally. You told me about that, and I went out like an hour after you texted me and went and bought it.
Yeah.
I read it in the car on the way up to that food truck festival that we had discussed, and I was like losing my mind. Like I got done and just stared out the car window. If it was Sarah's like, "Are you my fiance?" Was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I think I'm dying. I think I'm dying."
I mean, it's been long enough at this point. Who watches The Watchmen?
Dude, you can't do that.
I can.
You can't do that
because it ties into other stuff, and there's like little mentions throughout some of these comics. That's really cool.
I'm just so excited.
But no, basically, Superman's son John.
This might actually get me to read the Flash Rebirth books.
It's pretty good too. His son, basically, his son has a cat the cat is like, playing. It's a farm, and then a falcon comes down and takes the cat.
Oh.
So John gets super upset and laser eyes the cat and the falcon, basically just killing them both. Because he was emotional, he couldn't control it. Because even though his dad told him not to use his powers, it was an emotional moment, and that's what happened. And it's seeming, but like a neighbor girl saw him. So,
well, are you reading American Alien?
No.
Is that Max Landis? The Landis series right now?
I think so, yeah.
My brother's been trying to get me to read it. He says, I think it's only 6 issues. And he said it's unbelievable. And then my next pickup, I think, is going to be Max Bemis from Say Anything's run on the worst X-Men ever. And it's like a 5-shot. And I cannot wait to pick it up because the artwork looks really good. I'm not sure who did the artwork on it. I gotta look that up. I should really research more. But I will say this: that the DC Rebirth issue 1 has me kind of stuck. I want to reread Watchmen. I think it's been a while since I've read. I rewatched the movie. I finally got to watch the director's cut. I had never seen the Black Freighter.
Yeah, I need to sit down and do that.
Yeah, well, I forgot that the Black Freighter stuff was in the director's cut.
Yeah.
So, or the Ultimate Edition anyway.
Right.
And during the opening credits, it says it's listing all their names because it has one of my favorite opening credits of all time. And then it gets to Gerard Butler's name. I was like, who the fuck was he in this? And I forgot he was the voice for the pirate and the main person in Tales of the Black Freighter. And I was like, that is fucking awesome. And you got to see the stuff added in with the kid and the old guy at the comic book stand. I was like, and that's so funny because it's. Zack Snyder gets shit, but man, he brought that book. He brought it to life.
Yeah, it's like
it's a better ending. We talked about this last time.
Yeah,
better ending.
But he did so well on that, and then like ever since then he
source
has
material.
source
material.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
It's what it is, and
he's good at adapting source material, but he's not good at
Sucker Punch. Was we talked about that last time? It was over the top. I don't hate Sucker Punch.
I didn't see it, but
I thought you were with us. I thought we saw it together.
No, I wasn't there.
Oh, we saw Thor right after together.
Yeah.
We saw Thor together.
Yeah, we definitely saw Thor together.
2011, man. 2011. That's forever ago. That's before we were all drinking together, too.
Yeah.
Or before Trevor was a professional designated driver a lot of the time.
Yeah.
No, I comics, there's so much going on right now. It's hard when I hazard to set up a pull list because I can't always make it to the shop. And I don't feel like getting yelled at again. Trevor was with me when I got chastised by the owner of our local comic shop because I had let my pull list lapse. And instead of calling...
Which is why I say fuck that. And that's why I'm buying
copies.
Everything on Comixology on my phone on an
Did
app.
I tell you I bought the first issue of Dark Knight 3.
Oh yeah.
I like it.
I haven't heard either way on that.
I can't because they have issue 3 and 4. I gotta pick up issue 2, and I can only get issue 2 on Amazon right now because they don't have a new copy of that. I can get them to pull it. I don't know. Say, where's Scott Snyder fitting into the Rebirth?
I think he's doing. I want to say All-Star Batman. Is Scott Snyder?
Because I don't want to live in a world where Scott Snyder's not doing a Bat book.
I think he's doing All-Star Batman. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure.
That dude gets A's across the board in my book.
But I also, read the new Batman. The actual
think?
Going series of Batman number one shot for Rebirth kind of sets up the stage a little bit.
Yeah.
But the first number 1, man, it like kind of got me emotionally.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Is it like a retelling of the Bat story, or is
it's totally like basically a plane is going down in Gotham, and Batman basically just comes to the decision that he's gonna die to save everybody on that plane.
Okay, you can't tell me anymore.
Yeah.
I gotta pick it up.
Yeah. So I'll leave it at that. But like, just it's more the things. The dialogue in it that got me than anything else, but it's good, and there's a hint that there might be some Watchmen involvement in there. Flash was also very much a setup. It was more setting up Flash and Wally West and Wally and remembering Wally and all that stuff for that one shot. They haven't done the continuing series yet for Flash. They did do the continuing series for Titans, which is Teen Titans Grown Up, starring Wally West. And it was him trying to get all the other team members to remember him.
So he's back in the real world.
Right.
Or at least whatever this Earth.
Yeah, he's in the canon, and he does, I mean, he gets everybody to remember him, but it's cool because you see touching moments like that they remember between him and
it's
each
like the last
character,
season of Lost.
Kind of
waking up, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Do you want to switch over and discuss movies?
Real quick, I will say that Green Arrow is teasing something, and I don't know if it's where they're going, but it's really...
Green Arrow got me into I never really cared a lot about the character, and I picked up his New 52 books, and those were awesome.
I like them, yeah.
Those are awesome. I'm really interested to see if DC is going to carry on Swamp Thing into the Rebirth.
I think there might be a book coming out, like not soon, but in a few months maybe. I'd have to look at the list.
New 52 Swamp Thing was awesome.
But the first issue of Green Arrow, they kill him.
Thanks, Trevor.
Well,
Jesus, you're the worst.
Well, I don't know if they do. Like, it leaves you like...
Okay.
So...
If you hear creaking, I'm in a rickety rocking chair. That was a hard thing to say. I'm in Grandpa's rocking chair.
But like I said, spoilers.
Okay.
But at the same time, maybe this will like kind of pique your interests, not just yours, but the audience as well, to be like, hey, this sounds cool. I'm going to check all this out. But yeah, I wasn't sure how I would feel about the Green Arrow. Because it's kind of like it was kind of slow to start.
Okay.
Kind of in a way. They did some cool stuff with, like, they have, like, the quote-unquote big bad is, like, these dudes that kind of look like vampires, but they're, like, not, like, almost like the Master from Buffy they look like.
Gotcha.
But they're not vampires, but they've been, like, basically stealing people and selling them on the black market. So they were going with that, but it was also, like, kind of starting slow, and then... that happened, but I won't tell you what leads up to that happening. So, but I don't know if he's actually dead or not. So they're teasing that.
Let's segue to movies, but with comic book movies, because we got to talk about Spider-Man: Homecoming. So there's been two major star announcements. Funny enough, for the second person I'm going to announce. I say major star, but it's not like DiCaprio is going to be in it. We already know, obviously, Tom Holland is Spider-Man. Yeah. We know that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in it. We know that Marissa Tomei is going to be in it, which is a three-way I'm okay with. But they just announced the other day, and if you remember in 2009, there was a big thing when they were announcing the Spider-Man reboot that they wanted Donald Glover of Community and Childish Gambino rap fame.
He even did a bit in his weirdo.
Yeah, and they were special about being it. And it was never something that he even championed for. It was something that, someone had made a comment about it and he thought that it was a kind of a cool idea. And so he made a joke about it and then people lost their fucking minds. But they just announced Spider-Man: Homecoming has cast Donald Glover in it.
But they haven't announced who he's cast as.
Yeah.
Everybody is guessing he's cast as Miles Morales, but...
I think he'd be too old to play Miles Morales.
I don't think that's the case. I'm not sure who he's going to be, but I don't think he's going to be Miles Morales. I think that's just people, like, hoping that, come on, give us Miles.
Yeah. And I am 100% cool with Miles. I heard someone made a mention of it being Miles's father.
Could be,
like for a very young Miles, I'm gonna assume, and I'm not sure. Like, speculation aside, I'm just excited that he's gonna be in it. And on top of that, another awesome comedic actor from people know him now from Silicon Valley, but I also know him very well from Party Down.
Yeah, I was gonna say Party Down.
That's Martin Starr.
Freaks and Geeks.
Martin Starr. He's been a staple of a lot of the Seth Rogen, James Franco fare over the years.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he was in, I think he's been in the majority of Rob Thomas projects. I'm also positive he did stuff on Veronica Mars, too.
I think he was, like, I don't think he played a big character, but I think he might have done maybe an episode or two.
And so people obviously know him more now from Silicon Valley, which is awesome. So
it is.
I am, really excited to see Martin Starr get to join there, and I'm really excited. I want this movie now. I'm so excited for next year. I want this movie now. I know that next year we not only get Spider-Man Homecoming, we also get Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Which is going to be like the other side of things where you have Thor and the Hulk, because you got Ruffalo, who's guaranteed to be in it. I'm very... Rough. And didn't they... and isn't Guardians 2's next year, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Now, did they move Ant-Man 2?
I can't remember their full schedule because they've changed
Ant-Man
up a bunch.
And the Wasp.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember where that's at in there.
I'm just really excited to see Evangeline Lilly in the outfit. Like, it's going to awaken a fetish in me. I already know it. Things I didn't know. Fetishes are getting expensive for Sarah. Like, too many costumes. So, I'm really excited for that. I mean, Marvel is going to kill it regardless. Oh, we also have Doctor Strange at the end of this year,
Yeah.
So, I am...
Yeah, and I mean, there's also, on the DC side, Suicide Squad is... And it looks good. I'm hoping for the best.
I think it's going to be fine. The guy who's... is it David Ayer? Is David Ayer the one doing that? It's not David Ayer, is it? Keep going. I got to look this up.
I'm trying to remember. It might be. But the cast is amazing. Let's be honest. That cast is a top-notch cast, and
it is. I'm even looking forward to Will Smith. We talked about last time. Will Smith and Margot Robbie were together in Focus, which I thought was kind of at least the first half is really good. It's kind of an underrated flick. I'm excited. Yes, it is David Ayer. I was correct in my assumption, and he turned in one of my favorite movies, which is End of Watch, which was really good, completely underrated film.
I still have not seen it. I've heard it's really good. I think I might own a copy of it.
Michael Pena, Michael Pena being in it, and
Jake
Gyllenhaal, and that was part of the Gyllenhaal-essence, which was like that and Prisoners, which were fucking awesome.
And Nightcrawler.
Oh my God, Nightcrawler!
Yeah,
that is like
I watched that for the first time a couple months ago, and it was really great.
Someone posted on Reddit the other day the negotiation scene where he's trying to give the footage to Rene Russo, and he's trying to get 100,000, and then he's like, and then he lists his demands, and it's just like he's so calm and sociopath. Like it's such a magnificent scene. Like I just love it so much. And that movie I was so lucky to see in theaters because it's one of those experiences. It's like Drive.
Yeah,
you just left it feeling like there was this electric buzz. That very few films. I think the last couple years, the ones that give you the electric like buzzing feeling, Dark Knight, Skyfall was a big one that I walked out of the theater.
I really wish I would have went and saw The Revenant in theaters.
I really don't even have that much of an interest to see it. Like,
yeah, like I don't know. Like, I feel like it's also one that you would want to see in theaters if you wanted to see it. You know what I mean? Like,
it would be an experience in theaters I would want to have. There's certain movies, but I don't know, and I can't expect it from every movie. Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
got that buzzed feeling off Winter Soldier where you're just excited. So Dark Knight, Skyfall, Drive, Prisoners gave me just the most depressed feeling, but it's so good. Prisoners is amazing. Honestly, it might be the best thing I've seen Hugh Jackman in. And Nightcrawler, man, Nightcrawler was just a movie that I walked away from losing my mind. Like it was just such a dirty feeling movie. Like you don't leave that movie feeling good, but you leave it feeling like that is what a good cinema is supposed to be. You're supposed to leave feeling that excitement. And maybe I'm just, I'm cynical and jaded because I've seen a shit ton of movies, but man, like you left that movie feeling good. Same with that's what I'm looking for, and this is totally diverged from or digression from what I was going to say, but I'm looking for that in a horror film, and it's been a while since I've seen a horror film that made me that level of excited, and that's probably because it's my favorite genre, but it's been a long time since a horror film left me completely and utterly just excited when I watched it.
To be honest, it's been a while since I've really kind of cared about the horror genre. It takes I just don't I don't know. My favorite horror movie is Halloween.
The original,
so yeah.
I was talking about that the other day, which will segue me into my next thing because Rob Zombie just debuted a new trailer for 31.
I heard about that,
Halloween the original is such a special movie to me. I think truly it would be the first horror film I truly remember. I think I was 8 when I saw it for the first time.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've watched it numerous amounts of times. And in 2012, I actually lucked out and got to see, I might have talked about this because this is actually right after we started the podcast. I got to see the 35th anniversary in theaters?
I was there. We went together.
We went together because they did that feature at the beginning, but they fucked up and they had to show it a second time. It holds up, man, and that's not saying much. It's one of the it's in the pantheon of just great 70s flicks that just it's so one of a kind for its time, and you saw the people afterwards, and I still think that the first Nightmare on Elm Street's a masterclass.
I agree.
I'm not breaking any barriers. If you kind listeners, get a chance. There's a documentary on Netflix called, I think I just like straight up leaked. There's a documentary on Netflix called Never Sleep Again, which is about the history of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And it's like 4 hours long. It's got interviews with cast, with crew, Robert Englund. It is fucking phenomenal. I watched it all in like one go and I couldn't turn it off, man. It's so good. It's like 3 or 4 hours long.
Wow.
And it's absolutely, it goes through each film. It goes through what, the basis for each movie and what was going on at the time, and how the second one is inexplicably like a masterclass in homoeroticism. Like it's an allegory for homosexuals. It's fucking awesome. And I wish there was actually more in the way of documentaries on horror. There's a couple really good ones regarding urban legends. There's a documentary called Cropsey that's on Netflix. Been on for a couple years. It might be off now. There was a couple, this couple who did a documentary about this local urban legend regarding an insane asylum, and then they did a follow-up that I'm blanking on the title right now, but it's 3 separate urban legends and their origins in America. It's really awesome. They talk about the poison Halloween candy, like in whether or not there's truth behind that, and it's really great. That was a good watch. Cropsey's an awesome watch as far as documentaries go. But there's not been much in the way of horror, and maybe, I guess The Conjuring 2 is supposed to, because people touted The Conjuring as like this masterclass in horror. It didn't affect me much, and maybe because like ghost movies don't
I'm not really big into the ghost stuff, to be honest.
And I guess I am in some respects. Like I love the first Paranormal Activity. The rest of the franchise got a little convoluted. I think the second one's really good. It's got one of my favorite jump scares of all time with the cabinets. But and maybe I like that one just because it was kind of shot real. But then again, I'm also a Blair Witch fan, and I don't think that gets nearly the credit it deserves for I mean, people get a little jaded now because found footage is so ubiquitous.
Yeah.
But people don't realize that in '99 that wasn't the case. I mean, people legitimately thought that was a real movie. People thought it was a real thing that they found, and it was marketed so well. And I think the Sci-Fi Channel did a feature presentation beforehand that was like a documentary on the Blair Witch. It was so well done and so under wraps. And honestly, if the people never did press for it and showed up on talk shows for legal reasons, because they had to explain like that they weren't dead, I guess. Yeah. But, a lot of it is walking around the woods and kicking maps into rivers. But those last 10 minutes, when they find the house in the woods, you've seen Blair Witch, right?
I've not, actually.
You've never... Can we watch it one night? I own it, dude. Can we watch it?
All right, we'll have to.
Lights off fucking horror film. I'm telling you, watch this movie because, yes, and it's been parodied to death 100 ways from Sunday, but... what am I, 80? It's fucking good. It's good. It's so, because they weren't really, trained actors, and it's so over the top, but not in a bad way, in a fun way. It's a fun watch. I'm sorry, it holds up to me. Blair Witch holds up. I watched it as recently as 2012, and it's fucking good. It's good. You want them to die so bad, but it's good. I can't say it's good enough times. I'm kind of wishing for horror needs to go away for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because what we're getting in the last couple years is movies like The Conjuring or Insidious or the James Wan flicks. And I'm fine with those. Absolutely fine with those. I like a lot of them. Like I said, Conjuring 1 didn't really do it for me, but Conjuring 2...
every time I see a trailer, like, it just looks like
but
it's
I guess
the same
Conjuring 2
thing.
is supposed to be amazing. Like, it's supposed to be fantastic. Like, they really figured out what they were trying to do. But then you got, like...
It just all looks the same to me. Like, I just had, like... to the point where it just, like, disinterests me.
That's why I think I talked about Hush the last time. And that's been my favorite horror film I've seen in a while. Actually, I did see one from '06. Sean, the drummer for one of my bands, turned me onto a film called, and I didn't talk about it, it's called Behind the Mask. I think it's Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. It's a mockumentary about a slasher. And it's really, really awesome. The way I don't even want to spoil it. If you get a chance, I mean, it's pretty low budget. I think they spent most of their budget getting to use the talking head psycho killer at the end because they play the entire thing. The movie is really good. It's from '06. I mean, honestly, it's really I would say it's undiscovered. There's a slew of those. Let me talk. The Den. There was a movie called Unfriended that came out last year that was all Skype horror film. And I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought it was fun. It was a fun watch. It was kind of a cool thing. But only to find out that they weren't the first ones to do the Skype horror film thing. It's called The Den from 2014. Really good. Really good. Low budget horror flick. Megan is Missing. Acting's not great, but it's another low budget, really good horror flick that kind of is documentary style about a teenage girl that goes missing. Megan. It's really good. Ending is the 20 most unsettling minutes that I've seen on film because it is very hard to watch. Poughkeepsie Tapes from '07, I believe. That's a documentary about a serial killer throughout the late 90s, early thousands, I want to say. It's all on YouTube, actually. Someone uploaded the whole thing to YouTube. It might still be up there. Poughkeepsie Tapes. What did I say? Megan is Missing, Poughkeepsie Tapes, The Den. Lake Mungo. It was an '08 Australian horror flick that's a documentary. See, I'm sensing a pattern. I like the documentaries because they feel real. But it's Australian. It's a good little low budget flick. Fucking awesome. But yeah, I think that's the best horror recently has been these low budget documentary style. And I think I like those because they feel grittier than like I said, what we've been seeing the last couple years is the Insidii, the plural of Insidious. You have your Insidious, you have your Conjuring, your Annabelles, and there's been a resurgence in like possession flicks. And maybe it's because I'm not religious, but those don't really do a whole lot for me. I'd love to see a resurgence in the late 90s slasher flicks like we saw. I think, I know Wes Craven tried in '09. I think there was My Soul to Take, which was kind of a combination of a slasher means it, and it didn't really do well. And maybe you just need that. Like, horror had died.
I think maybe the slasher flick is actually going to a different genre of entertainment.
Well, I think with VHS. VHS was another really good one. The first one is good. Second one is fucking awesome. Third one, sorry, it's okay.
Well, I think maybe the slasher flick is now going into video games. Until Dawn last year was basically you playing all these characters in a slasher flick. If you make the right decisions, all of them can stay alive. If you make one wrong decision for any of them could die. So it changes so much depending on your decisions, and it's completely a slasher flick. There's some monster stuff in there too. I don't want to. I guess it's an awesome experience though.
I don't even. Which that'll segue me into E3 coverage because I want to talk about Resident Evil 7.
Yeah. That's actually kind of where I was segging, but
yeah, we'll get there. Speaking of, okay, I was gonna say because you wake up in like a cabin in the woods. Now, grant you, do I think it looks an awful lot like PT? Yeah, but PT being probably, I mean, honestly, one of the scariest things I've seen in years was PT.
Yeah,
like truly, truly scary. I guess what I'm saying is, and maybe it was a product of its time, but the late people, I don't think people realize, because I was literally just getting into horror obsession at the time when, maybe not Scream, because I was like 6, 7 when Scream came out, but by the time like Urban Legend came out, or I Know What You Did Last Summer, I was really into the genre. I was getting into the genre. In fact, one of the earliest things I remember is I wanted to be a director. And I wanted to make horror films. Like, definitely when I used to write a lot of, mini scripts for horror films, and very much was an obsession with horror. And I still have the obsession with horror, which is why I get so bummed out the last couple of years. The last, 5 really haven't seen horror, and let me just specify horror that I want to see. And I get it. People love Insidious. People love, and I can't take anything away from it. It's just not for me.
Right.
I don't, and I guess maybe it's because I'm not a huge fan of jump scare culture. I don't love jump scares. I'm a big fan of dread, and I think that's why recently I talked about Hush, because Hush gave me a sense of dread that I hadn't felt in a long time. I just, when I say that horror had died, I mean, with the late 80s, you saw the death of the slasher flick, and it disappeared for years. And yeah, you had a cut because it made way for, in 1990, maybe it was the Academy Awards 91, but 1991, Silence of the Lambs came out. And because Silence of the Lambs is a fucking horror film. Any way you slice it, it's a horror film. But because
they put it in the genre of like psychological thriller.
In fact, it basically coined the term psychological thriller, which I consider Basic Instinct way more of a, which was around the same time, a psychological thriller more than Silence of the Lambs. It's a fucking horror film. I mean, it's, and honestly, I don't know if I talked about this before. I'd seen it in pieces over the years, but for the first time at the end of 2014, I sat down and watched the whole thing, and I get why it fucking won Best Picture, because
it's a great movie.
20 years later, almost 20 years later, it holds up. It is fucking awesome. On top of that, Red Dragon's just as good. Red
Dragon is really good. Hannibal, not so much. Red Dragon is good.
Yeah, I think you need Jodie Foster's weird accent and face to be, I mean, it's almost 20 years later, and it's a good movie. Like, it not breaking any barriers. Like, it's Anthony Hopkins is a fucking masterclass in that movie. Everyone is good in that movie. So, but like, I bring that up to say horror became psychological thriller because horror didn't sell at the time. And then I don't know what happened. You started seeing these teen shows come on, and then Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven dropped Scream on us, and Scream was like unlike anything you'd ever seen.
Scream was awesome,
and it also holds up, because and it's what the second one and the third one kind of lack. It was so meta because it was a horror film about horror films that had jokes about other horror films in ways that it was what teenagers were really. They talked like teenagers. Granted, Neve Campbell looked like she was 30 and Skeet Ulrich looked like he was 45, but they talked like teenagers. And it's something that fell by the wayside. And I honestly think one of the criminally underrated ones is Urban Legend.
Yeah.
But Scream, it's still good. Everyone is still good in that movie. I like the little nod that Henry Winkler is the principal. Like, and it's. I watched it last year. I think a mutual friend of ours, Jen, and I watched it, and it's fucking good. It's good. We actually watched it back to back with Clueless, which also holds up. Still fucking good. Baby Paul Rudd, still a fucking good movie. That was such an interesting time. Maybe because also then on top of that, you had Buffy was starting.
Yeah.
And, and that also took a look at how teens were at the time. I mean, it nailed teen culture, right?
Yeah, dude, vampires. I love Buffy.
It nailed teen culture. Dawson's Creek started, and you had a lot. Kevin Williamson. I'll tell you this. Speaking of Kevin Williamson, I am a big fan of the Scream MTV show.
I've heard it's good. I haven't watched it yet.
First season was
first season's on Netflix now. So
unexpectedly really good. Very, very shocked that I liked it as much as I did. Not that I thought I was going to dislike it, because I think MTV did a good job with Teen Wolf. I don't watch it frequently, but what I've seen, it's not a bad show. I love slasher films. I love 80s, 70s, your late 70s, mid 80s, even the hokey fucking slasher films. April Fool's Day, or when every single fucking holiday had a slasher film.
Yeah.
Speaking of documentaries, it's a 2006 documentary called Going to Pieces, and it's the rise and fall of slasher films. Fucking brilliant. It's brilliant. It kind of eclipses through '04 because it talks about Saw and Hostel a little bit, but it's the torture porn genre, but it's really good. It's really good. That's a good documentary too. So wrapping up, conclusion, where I'm getting at is that I think I've even talked about this before. I really want to see horror be a genre that's not it's cheap to make these horror films. It's cheap to toss your Conjurings. It's cheap to toss, and that's great. It's great because it keeps horror in the American spotlight. It keeps horror in the forefront. But life is terrifying right now, and especially with what happened in Orlando. Not just Orlando, but the shooting that happened Friday night with the girl from The Voice.
Absolutely, yeah.
Christina Grimmie, I think was her last name. I believe
you're right. Yeah.
And then the Pulse shooting in Orlando, and then on Sunday night and the Monday night, a gator eats a boy. Like, the world's a fucked up place, and horror is such good escapism that people misunderstand as you're capitalizing on. And yes, the torture porn got out of control. Yes, but do I think Saw belonged in torture porn for the first 4 films? No, and I think the first Hostel had something to say and wasn't, total drivel. Horror has always been to the forefront of saying what we as a public are scared to say. You saw it with, in the 80s. In the 80s, it was consumerism, so you saw a rise in your Dawn of the Dead zombies. In the 90s, it was the 90s. It was sexier horror. It was your slasher flicks or your vampire flicks, and it was because you saw a rise in the Gen X sexuality in the 90s. And then in '01, fucking planes hit towers and everyone lost their fucking mind because you didn't know who the enemy was really at the time. And you get movies like 28 Days Later, which are they're not zombies, Rage Virus, that enemy is so unpredictable, and you don't, understand who this enemy, your enemy is, so you get your 28 Days Later, which it holds up as well. I mean, fucking brilliant horror film. And that's what I want to see. I guess I'm trying to place what it was in '09 that made things like Paranormal Activity so, except for moneymakers. Like, obviously money was there, but I'm trying to think of what it was in the public zeitgeist that gave us. Maybe if I'm going to be pretentious, maybe it was the concept of public surveillance, Edward Snowden, which was a little more later, but NSA spying at the end of the Bush era, beginning of the Obama era. You saw the rise of drones, and maybe the constant surveillance. I guess you can even say that with reality TV in the early 2000s, but if I'm making my point, the
people being watched.
Maybe that's what led to the ubiquitousness of your found footage horror films, I guess. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe the ghost stuff is more a struggle with religion that a lot of people are in right now.
Yeah.
Especially where things in the world go. A lot of people try to go towards religion, but so many people now are... being an atheist is normal now, where it used to not be.
Unless you're a president, I guess.
Right. So, like, being an atheist is a completely normal thing, and everyday people are atheists now. So it's one of those things where it's like you have people that aren't religious, or they're questioning their religion. So maybe that's where the ghost stuff comes in.
The faith stuff. I mean, you saw. I guess you even saw a lot of that with the post '60s culture, with like Polanski or The Exorcist, or that question people's morals, and a lot of that had to do with the very Puritan culture really that was face to face with this counterculture, and I think that's where a lot of your '60s and '70s horror flicks came from.
Well, yeah, because you went from like the spotless 50s into the,
well, then you had
into Vietnam,
but then you had your see, because the 50s were the sci-fi horror, and that's because you had the xenophobia of communism, which is also where we get the and this isn't me, I'm not expounding on any information that I came up with. The Night of the Living Dead zombies were communists. Like, that was what that was about, was about isolationism and communism. And in the 50s, you had a lot of sci-fi stuff that was about invaders from outer space, that was about this menace coming from somewhere else, and the xenophobia that was the 50s. Also, on top of that, you had the nuclear scare in the 50s and 60s, which you saw a lot of these radioactive alien movies, or the Beast from 20 Fathoms and shit like that, which was, which was about an unknown invader that was, that was nuclear paranoia, basically. In fact, there's a great movie from the 90s. I think John Goodman's in it. Matinee. You ever seen it?
I know what it is, but I've never seen it.
That's kind of about the intersection of that, the intersection of 60s, early 60s nuclear paranoia, accompanied by this golden age of morals, and your television was about these moralistic families, and, your Leave It to Beavers, and your ideal, what the ideal American dream was supposed to be. And that's why horror is so good, because horror is supposed to go against what is, at the time, the cultural norm, And that's the thing, is that maybe I don't know I just don't know, and I'm excited to see where horror can go now. And I as much as I want to see, the slasher flicks, I kind of want to see something new, and I don't know what the new thing for horror could be.
It's hard to say.
Serbian film tried. And honestly, I've said it before, that film is beautifully shot. It is so well done, and
I guess that's one thing you could say about it.
And that's the thing. Same with Antichrist. It crawls up its own fucking ass with its morals, I guess. But Lars von Trier's Antichrist have you seen it?
No.
It is fucking brutal to watch. You do see, unless it's a stunt cock, Willem Dafoe's balls. It's pretty awesome. They're just slapping in and out. It's the opening of the movie. The juxtaposition in the opening of the movie is very hard to watch. Because of what happens to their child. But the stuff later, I'm just seeing her with some scissors, and I can't go on to. It is a very hard watch. It is Lars von Trier at his most Lars von Trier. Lars von Trier, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because he put out this movie where there's a blood cum shot. Blood cum shot. Followed 2 years later, he was nominated for Best Picture for Melancholia. Like, the dude makes brilliant films that are so depressing. Just the most depressing pieces of art imaginable. And that's why, I don't need it to be, I guess the crux of my argument is I don't need a horror masterpiece. I want to see something new, and I want to see something that's going to excite me. And I'm 25, going to be 26, and I know that I've seen a lot of films, and maybe I'm cynical. Maybe I'm burnt. I want to like things. I get shit on for being a hipster, but I want to like things. And not ironically, I just want to like what I like, And I love horror. I wish something would kick the genre in the ass, turn the genre around. Like, superhero films were getting really stale, and I think the Russo brothers turned it around. Yes, every Marvel film kind of ends up the same unless you're Ant-Man, which is criminally underrated. But
I really liked Ant-Man.
You see this resurgence of the superhero flick and what that can be, and I think horror needs it, man. Horror needs it in a big bad way to bring the two worlds together. Horror needs an enema, and I just don't know, man. I need something. I need the next director in horror. Ty West is probably my favorite in current horror. House of the Devil. That's one I missed. House of the Devil is a masterclass, except it's a little derivative of the 80s. That's what I'm talking this whole time. I'm sorry, but it's a little derivative of the 80s. But it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be an homage to 80s horror films. The ending was totally worth the rest of the film, because it's not based on jump scares. It is creepy. It is genuinely an unsettling movie. And grant you, I also understand. I understand that I'm talking mainstream horror. There is a lot going on in underground horror right now, but I wish it was at the forefront. But maybe it's supposed to thrive underground. Maybe it's not supposed to be up front.
You gotta think.
It's like ska music. It's supposed to stay underground.
But if you think about it this way too, it's the way people consume media has changed. People don't really go to the movies that much anymore.
You're right. You're right. And I don't want to sound.
It's people just watch stuff like on Netflix, or like there's I can't remember its name, but there's that horror streaming network now.
Oh yeah, Shudder.
Yeah,
Shudder. So I don't want to sound like Grandpa Ian saying nobody goes to the movies, but man, there's something wonderful. There's two experiences in this world when it comes to film that I love. One is cinema. One is actually going to the theater and sitting down and watching it. But I know a lot of people are busy. You don't have the time. That's why Netflix is fucking awesome. And the other one is the Mystery Science Theater way of sitting in a room with a group of your friends watching a horror film. Because A, it brings you closer together, and B, some of my favorite memories, maybe a lot of this is rose-tinted glasses, I know, but some of my favorite memories were the high school parties that resulted in, like, that night after a bunch of people left just binging on a horror film in someone's living room or bedroom and just fucking genuinely being like feeling like this is that, like, those high school moments. This is my John Hughes moment. Like, I don't know, maybe
no, I mean, I had a lot of that after high school because me and a bunch of friends, we went over my friend Ken's house. He works on Call of Duty now. Go pre-order Call of Duty Infinity Warfare.
Really?
Yeah.
I know Ken worked on Call of Duty.
Yeah, he does. But Schley was our friend Schley was in that group of friends, and we would, like, go rent horror like stupid, dumb horror movies from Blockbuster when that was a thing.
The worse the cover, the better, too.
Yeah, like stuff like,
do you know I miss,
like Strange Things Happen at Sundown, which was on the cover rated extremely mature.
And it
was the worst.
I miss box art. I miss horror. I miss VHS box art. I don't miss VHSs.
No,
I miss VHS box art.
Yeah.
And speaking of terrible horror films that ended up in the long run getting their redemption. Have you seen the the continuation of The Town That Dreaded Sundown?
No.
Oh my god. The original, look up the trailer for the original. It actually predates Halloween by a couple years, and it's a slasher film about this killer in Texarkana that basically is based off the Zodiac.
Okay.
And then in 2014, they made a meta sequel that's fucking great. It's so good. And that was one of those films that I watched on a whim that kind of blew my mind. That's one of the ones I walked away from really excited that someone took the time to make that film. So, you know, it's not all bad. I'm not saying I'm saying that, you know, maybe the best horror isn't in theaters. Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
But it would be really fucking great to get to see... to get a horror classic in our time, and I guess that's an oxymoron saying classic in our time, because that's normally just reserved for Kendrick Lamar records. But God, Good Kid, Mad City. I guess I want to walk out of a horror film, and you can't please everyone. I get that. Where people are walking out just going, "Holy shit." Like, I want that experience, and it's just been a minute. And I think the last time I got it was the first Paranormal Activity. Grant you, a lot of people didn't get into it. A lot of people fell into the same trap with the Blair Witch Project, where they're like, well, this isn't real. Well, yeah, it's a fucking movie, you asshole.
Right, yeah.
And some people didn't dig the camera work. I get it. I get it. It's not for everybody. Found footage isn't.
A lot of the problem.
You gotta take a Dramamine before seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the problem, too, with a lot of people nowadays is that they have no suspension of disbelief.
That's it. It's like... That's it. And like, I guess...
You should... You're going in, you're watching a movie, you're watching a TV show.
Like, people that try to find okay, and honestly...
It's like you're looking for the flaws.
And you know who...
But, like, fuck that. Just pretend it's a real world.
You know who's a big one for that? Okay, this goes back to 2013. I saw Gravity in theaters. Yeah. And honestly, I'm already fucking massively claustrophobic and have a huge fear of, like, heights and space, kind of. Because, and grant you, space is vast, but it still feels claustrophobic. Because in the trailer of just Sandra Bullock's heavy breathing is rough. It's a rough movie. You got to have a very pretty huge suspension disbelief for that movie to work. And as much as I love Neil deGrasse Tyson, I couldn't take someone like him just shitting on the movie because the physics are wrong. Like, it's a fucking movie, dude. Like, chill out. I love Neil deGrasse Tyson. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, this is the same argument where people shit on professional wrestling. Because you know, they're just like, why do you watch that? It's fake. Like, dude,
it's a TV show.
We know it's a fucking entertainment show.
There is no one in this world that's not under the age 10, and even that's being generous, that doesn't know it's fake. It's fake. Do those guys really get hurt? Yeah. Am I, like, frequently?
Yeah, it's an athletic
did I hear something about Roman Reigns recently used a move that hasn't been used in like 20 plus years or something? Well, maybe that wasn't Roman Reigns, but it was. I gotta look it up. Keep talking. I'll say. Oh, sorry. Let me get away from horror and just say that I'm passionate about horror because it's just awesome. It's awesome, and I know it's not for everybody. Not everybody likes it.
Yeah, it's not like my preferred genre, but if there's a good movie, then I like it.
Yeah.
If that makes any... Like, if there's something that's really good and I like it, like I do like some horror, so it's not like I just brush off horror, it's just I brush off most horror.
And that's fine. That's fine. I have a lot of friends who, Sarah's not the world's biggest horror fan. She, and honestly, what's funny is that I'm a giant, I don't want to say pussy because that's vaginas are awesome, and I'm a weak set of testicles when it comes to horror films. I get scared really easily. I watched Hush and had to walk with all the lights on the house, but that's what I love about horror, is that you feel so unsettled. So fucking unsettled. And that's the fun with it. And not everybody thinks that's fun.
And that's why I think that video games are almost taking that place. Because if you sit in a dark room and play a game, something like PT,
I can't.
You got that headset on, like surround sound, with the lights out.
That's something I can't do. If I'm in a group, I hearken back to when I was in. Well, I'm still only going to say the princess technically, but when we were playing all the time before practice, a lot of the time, or actually even after practice, there was always a big ass computer in the basement, and we'd kick off all the lights when we were done practicing, and our drummer at the time would play Slender.
Yeah.
We played the shit out of Slender, and it was a group of like 6 or 7 of us watching, and it was always the most fun because it was always all of us, just a group of like 6, 7 dudes losing their fucking minds.
Yeah.
That was, and honestly, a lot of these stories are with groups of people, and that's why they're so awesome. But I don't know, man. That's what, and you might be right. Horror might be going by but I always want to say
honestly,
there's never not going to be a market for horror films.
I was talking about Until Dawn earlier. That is a game that you have to play.
I have not got to play it
because it is fucking amazing. One of these days I will bring over my PS4 and we will sit here.
Oh, for sure, dude. I am 100% down.
Because it's one of those games where like I would like to sit here and watch someone else play it to see what decisions they make, to see who dies in there.
Where it's just me literally peeing everywhere.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. And now we can move into E3. Resident Evil 7.
It was Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins used a move on AJ Styles.
The Vertebreaker.
That's literally what someone said on here.
Yeah.
Was that crazy?
It was something that the Hurricane used to use in WCW. And it hasn't been used for a while because it has the potential to put a lot of impact on your neck. So, I mean, it is called the Vertebreaker. So
yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So start us off on some E3 coverage, homie.
Resident Evil 7, the demo's out now if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, which I played the entire demo on a video that you can watch on spiderduck.net or on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/spiderducknetwork. It's up there. You should watch it. If you don't have the means to play it on PlayStation, Resident Evil 7 is completely first person, and if you get PlayStation VR, it's completely in VR.
I don't think I could do it, man. I really don't think I can do it.
It's kind of what has sold me on wanting VR. I'm not going to be able to afford it when it comes out.
Well, but that, and I heard about the Batman thing.
Yeah, there's Batman VR,
and that's the thing. Like I think, and what's
awesome.
funny is, I guess in my mind, when I think VR, I think of the '90s when they were trying to do
right, and it's totally not that.
It's also that last season of Community, the Worlds Within Worlds thing.
Yeah, but playing the Resident Evil 7 demo, it's like they went back to being a horror game. Because, I mean, Resident Evil 6 was just a fucking dumpster fire. It was bad.
Resident Evil 5 was kind of a racist dumpster fire.
Well, Resident Evil 5 was like their transition to trying to be more of an action game than a horror game. Like 4 kind of started it, but it was still pretty much a horror game. And then 5 was like them transitioning more towards action. And then 6 was them just trying to please everybody fucking failing miserably.
Follow up one of the greatest games in horror history, Resident Evil 4, with Resident Evil 5. And honestly, and the gap between the two was insane.
Yeah.
What was it? 04 was Resident Evil 4?
Yeah.
And you didn't get a new game till...
It must have been 07, 08, I want to say.
Later, I think it was 09.
It wasn't 09. It was earlier than that. I can't remember the exacts on it, 5. Though. But Resident Evil 7 seems pretty awesome. Basically, it's going to take place in the American South. So, and basically, an old farm. Oh, was it?
March 5th, 2009.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I know. Weird, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess I was wrong there. Anyway, takes place in the American South in like old farmhouses and stuff, like
similar to the 4th game.
Yeah, it's I mean, except that was in Eastern Europe, but
was it? I thought that was in the South. That shows why I know. It's been a while. I haven't played that game in forever.
But it's, I mean, playing it like in first person, it's a different viewpoint. Like it's creepy as fuck. Like the demo, like you go in to this house and you're searching around and like basically just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And then at a certain point you find this tape and you put the tape in and then you're watching the tape, but then it lets you take control of the person in the tape that's filming.
Yeah.
And like it's fucking great. And they said that this whole demo will not be in the game. So it's literally just a teaser for the game that's coming out. And I'm pretty excited. There's so much stuff that I am excited for coming out of E3. Yeah, I mean, Batman VR seems really cool.
Batman VR, Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, I don't know. But they going with the comic book theme here, they announced Injustice 2. And it has like Atrocitus and Gorilla Grodd in it. And a couple other
Gorilla Monsoon.
And Gorilla Monsoon. With Bobby Heenan doing commentary. No, that's not real people.
That'd be awesome, though.
It would be awesome.
It's the entire roster of WCW versus NWO Revenge for 64.
But like so much
Hitmonchan.
So much stuff looks fun. Like they announced a new God of War.
I watched that gameplay.
Like holy shit, dude.
That looks beautiful.
Yeah,
it looks like a bit of a departure from the series.
Absolutely, they slowed it down. This they said it's the same Kratos, and it's not a reboot. So basically, Kratos, from what it seems, is that he killed all of Greek mythology and he's starting Norse mythology. Apparently his son will be with you the whole time.
Yeah, but his son seems like he's going to end up being capable.
Yeah, like, so I think it's almost like
missions.
I almost think like it's kind of like he's going to be the father to raise a god. Basically, you're raising a god, and who knows what'll happen in the game, but it could end up where Kratos ends up being killed or something, and the son furthers the series.
Obviously, this is just conjecture.
Yeah, none of that's confirmed. But yeah, I mean, the son and being there with him, and it looked fucking cool as shit.
I think we're gonna have to talk about the Norman Reedus oil baby.
I don't know what the fuck that is, but that's what Hideo Kojima does.
I mean, isn't that what Silent Hills became? Basically, I mean, it's a totally different concept. Is Guillermo also involved in this too?
I don't know.
What was the name of the game, actually?
Death Stranding?
Yes.
Which I guess Stranding is what they call when a whale is beached.
Okay.
So, like, it kind of gives context to that visual.
I just fucking sad-faced Norman Reedus bummed me out.
Yeah, like, I don't know what the fuck that game is, and I don't know if Hideo Kojima knows what the fuck that game is either. But it's certainly interesting. I don't think Guillermo del Toro is a part of it.
Okay.
But yeah, it could be. It's going to be interesting, but I don't think we're going to see that game till at the very least 2018, maybe 2019. It's a ways off.
That's what you're figuring?
Well, because Kojima even said that they don't really have anything built. All they had was that teaser. So
I'll settle. Fuck it. I'll settle. I don't even care.
So it'll be a while till we see that game. Whatever that game is, it'll be a while. But they showed a lot of good stuff. Like Microsoft showed, like Gears of War 4 looks fucking fantastic.
I didn't see the trailer for that.
Dude, like, just the visuals on it, like, they showed a campaign mission where it was, like, the 4, gears, like, going for it, and, like, lightning is going, like, there's a big storm happening at the same time, and, like, you have to avoid, like, lightning and shit, and, like, it was just really fucking cool. And, like, the visuals looked amazing. And they showed old Marcus Phoenix at the end of the trailer, of the gameplay thing. And there's just so many cool things. Fucking Titanfall 2 looked bonkers for a multiplayer game. Like you can, I mean, that was the game where you could already just, like, jump into mechs and, like, fucking have mech battles while playing a Call of Duty style game where you can run on walls. And now there's a grappling hook. Like, at the end of their trailer for the multiplayer thing, they had, like, 2 guys, like, jumping in the air, and one threw a grappling hook and grabbed him and then, like, kicked him. And it looked fucking awesome. Battlefield 1 looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
I am so
that
pumped.
had me at that first trailer, though.
Yeah, dude, I'm so pumped for that game. I was watching the multiplayer too, and, like, they showed where the Zeppelin came in, like, and then once they blew up the Zeppelin, like, it's huge, like, fucking takes out, like, part of the like, it literally comes down wherever it hits. It's not a ordained spot where it hits wherever it fucking lands, and wherever it lands, it destroys the buildings. It's basically a graveyard for that Zeppelin. Like, yes. And it looks fucking cool because every building is destructible in it, even in the multiplayer, and it's like
everything is on fire.
Yeah, like, it just looks awesome. And even Call of Duty looked really cool, and I was kind of surprised because I wasn't sure what they were gonna do with it. And
Advanced Warfare or whatever.
Infinity Warfare. Yeah, like, basically, like, the first thing they show is a dude getting into, like, a spacecraft and, like, fucking dogfighting in a goddamn, like. Yeah, it's battles in space, and then they have 0G battles in space where dudes are shooting each other and shit, and it looked really cool. And I actually sent a text to my friend Ken right after. I was like, "That's really cool, like, way cooler than I thought it was gonna be."
It's dope that he's working on that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, it's cool. There's just, man, I don't even know what else to talk about because there's just so much.
What?
Zelda looks fucking...
Zelda! Yeah, I can't believe it. Open fucking world.
Dude, it's like... I don't even know what the fuck that game is anymore. Like, it's every game ever. It's like, you throw Skyrim, but you also throw in, like, survival stuff like cooking Skyrim and, like, shit, and, like, yeah... It looks really good.
Also, I'm sorry, we're not talking about the greatest game they announced, which I guess isn't new. Remastered Crash Bandicoots.
Yeah, that was a new announcement. I don't think anybody expected it.
Naughty Dog returning to their form.
Well, I don't know if Naughty Dog's actually doing the remaster.
Oh, that bums me.
I'm gonna guess they're probably not, because they're probably working on Last of Us 2. To be completely honest.
I gotta play the first one.
Yeah, you do.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool. I think with these remasters, that's how they'll gauge how big the interest in Crash is. If those remasters sell well, then I can see them actually doing a new Crash game.
So do you think that Crash is just a product of the 90s and that...
I kind of think so, because they're not... those games don't really hold up all that well. I don't know if you've played them anytime recently, but they're not really great. But, I mean, you know, if people have enough of a reverence to support it, then Activision might be like, oh, cool, this sold pretty well. Maybe we'll make a new one, and maybe they can modernize it and make a really good game out of it. So,
a Crash Bandicoot / Uncharted game. Just real serious and gritty.
I kind of want that. It would have been awesome if in Uncharted 4 they just had like one of the Drake skins just be Crash Bandicoot.
I would lose my fucking mind.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. Because they did have they had a Crash Bandicoot Easter egg in Uncharted 4, where like you're basically on the couch like talking to Elena, and then like there's a banter conversation, and they start playing Crash on the PlayStation on the TV, and then you actually literally play a level and try to beat her high score.
It's a really good time for pop culture right now.
Yeah, like there's so much just cool shit coming out in the pipeline. Like man, I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn looks really cool.
I just heard the name today. I have not looked up the trailer for it.
It's basically kind of like Zelda with mechs, I guess, would be.
With what?
Like Zelda with mechs. Like,
mech suits.
Not mech suits. All the animals and wildlife are mechanical. So, if you want to ride a horse, you have to do something and then hack into the horse for you to ride it. And stuff like it's... You gotta watch it. Like
hack into the horse is the funniest sentence I'm gonna hear all day.
But like it seems really fucking cool. There's just so much cool stuff coming out, and Dead Rising 4 was announced.
Oh my god, sorry, I'm yawning again. Which is funny because right now Game Grumps are playing through Dead Rising 2. And I know you said in the past you don't like watching people play games, but I think you'd like Game Grumps just because it's way funnier, and it's not so much them just playing games, it's like they do interstitial stuff, and you like Ninja Sex Party. So Dan Avidan, Danny Sexbang, and Aaron Ego Raptor, who is awesome.
Yeah, I know who Ego Raptor is.
And Barry and everyone involved is fucking awesome. And I think you dig it, especially because the playthrough they've been doing for Ocarina of Time is fucking hysterical. It's awesome. But I think you'd appreciate it more, especially because they do a series that's tabletop gaming too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So
yeah, that's something that I would love to do down the line is actually...
Tabletop?
Yeah.
They even dress up in old-timey clothes for it. It's pretty
yeah,
awesome.
I would really like to do some tabletop videos. But I mean, the logistics are kind of a pain in the ass, so that's why I haven't tried to do that yet.
Well, are you friends with Ferguson, Andrew?
I mean, we've maybe hung out once or twice.
He has really good camera equipment, and he would do a video for us. I mean, might throw him a couple bones, obviously, because we like to pay our friends for their work. He shot me in our mutual friend Joey Albus's new music video.
Yeah.
Silent Poets. Yeah. Hey, shout out to one of my favorite people in this world and one of the co-best men of my wedding.
He's been on several episodes.
He has been on
this podcast.
Oh man, a good friend who I forgot was on the podcast. Yes, former co-host.
Kind of
regular drop-in and apartment dweller. Joey Albus, who also sang for We Must Save the Princess, is in the process of dropping a solo album under the name Albus, which I will take credit for because I told him to go by his last name. He wanted to do it like Churches with a V. I was like, no, just spell it Albus. Yeah. It's going to be really great. And his first single, Silent Poets, is awesome. And Trevor might even throw a link into it when we put it up. I don't know.
I'll totally do that.
I'm giving Trevor more work. Shout out to Joey, who hasn't been on in a while, but we also just started doing this again. He's put a lot of effort into recording.
I know he has a new album coming out like next month, I want to say, or in a couple months.
I don't have fully the... Actually, I could tell you.
Yeah, I know he just posted about it. I just can't remember the exact date. I know it's sometime soon-ish.
It's just really good to see my friends doing awesome shit. Like, Joey is so talented, and it's great to see him succeed and people really have an interest in what he's doing. And yes, we've been kind of throwing around some We Must Say the Princess stuff, especially because, we're kind of it's in the infancy stages right now of there might be a possible benefit show to benefit Orlando in the next, maybe month or so. And we're all really interested in that. And that's something that definitely gets We Must Say the Princess out of retirement is any type of benefit show like that. But more importantly, not more important than that. That's the most important thing we could do. But Joey, Joey's putting his heart and soul into this. So, we're going to throw up a link to Silent Poets. And yeah, it's kind of nice that I was in the music video for it. But it was also, I say that to say another friend of ours who does great work. It was shot by Andrew Ferguson, who we gave Amber a shout out the last one too. So yeah, this is our platform just to talk about our awesome friends.
Yeah.
Andrew Ferguson shot it. His equipment's fantastic. He does amazing work. He's got more heart than most people I know and really gives a shit about what he does. So we're going to link up to either the song or the video for Silent Poets, and you get to see some of Andrew's work. And if you got anything that you need videoed, throw him some bones, because the dude deserves it. Both of them do. Joey's stuff, I believe, is available on Bandcamp. Go throw him, all of your monies, because he's a really good dude.
Yeah, just all of it.
He's a really solid dude. Now I gotta look up
irregardless.
Albus, and I'll tell you when that album comes out. Although, it can also always get thrown back a little bit. But I'm so. Debut album Clarity is out this summer. I don't think there's actually a physical
there's no date yet
on it yet, but it will be coming soon. I'd say sooner than later. We'll see it before the end of the summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like seeing my friend do awesome stuff. And that's kind of where I am. So as we're winding down, go out and make stuff. Just make stuff. It doesn't matter if people are going to see it. Just make stuff. Make stuff for you.
Yeah, we keep doing this podcast, and we don't. I kind of know how many people listen to this regularly, but
it's more therapy, and that's fine, and make stuff. Just go out and make stuff. Make stuff for, like I said, I should reiterate myself, but your friends, anybody. Just do it.
Just have fun doing it. Honestly, like if you do it,
and if you do it and people check it out, fucking awesome. That's an added bonus.
Yeah.
But the thing is to get out there and make it. And I think I actually went off on a similar tirade last time when I talked about Amber wanting to do a podcast or vlog or video channel.
Yeah.
Fucking do it. Just do it. There's something to be said for the Shia LaBeouf model. Just do it.
Yeah.
Which is also the Nike model. But yesterday you said today, tomorrow, and that's something.
Yeah, all that. I don't know where that was going, but
so I'm just excited. From E3 to comic book movies to the 8 years that I talked about horror. It's good. It's good because a lot of those things wouldn't have got made if someone out there didn't just say, "Here, go make the thing." Now, grant you, money is always a problem. We tend to do this kind of for free. But, make what makes you happy, and that's all I gotta say. Do what you want to do, and especially in times like this, it's the world is a fucking scary place. So make yourself laugh, make your friends laugh, and hug the people in your life.
And honestly, if you're talented and you feel like once you even gain like a bit of an audience, stuff like Patreon. Lets you put your stuff out there, especially like for people that are musicians, or if you do regular content that people really enjoy. That's a good way to get that stuff out there and have people that want to support you, stuff like that. So
there's going to be an audience, and you're not going to find it right away. You're never going to find it immediately. And if you do, more power to you. But you are the variable.
Yeah. You definitely. It takes a lot of luck, but sometimes.
But if you
honestly, of the videos that I've done on the YouTube channel, like the weirdest ones get the most hits.
If you can make it to one person, one person who enjoys what you do, that is more than enough. Because if one person from this messages me and is like, hey, I agree with what your take is on horror films, or, I want to see a horror resurgence too, or we need a horror renaissance, or even if they want to tell me, you were wrong about this thing, but here's why, be nice about it.
I don't know which kind of horror renaissance they'll want, though.
Horror renaissance.
Okay.
No, there's plenty of horror. So God bless them too, because
we're bringing them back.
Yeah. No, they never went away. Horrors will always be in style. Always be in style. And that's the thing. No slut shaming. Side point. Be in control of your goddamn sexuality and do what the fuck you want to do.
Yeah, if you want to be a whore, do it.
Be smart about it, though. Yeah. Be protected. Make what you want to make. Make what you want to make, which I'm actually going to segue into the MC Hammer Addams Family rap. Make what you want to make. Make it for you. Make it for your friends. Make your friends laugh. Make yourself laugh. Love unfucking controllably. Whore yourself out, but do it responsibly. Safe sex always. Those are the tenets of life. Tenets of life. Just fucking laugh. Have a good time, man. Shit is too serious, and it can end so goddamn abruptly,
Yeah. That's...
Condoms. condoms. And if you're gonna catch something you can get rid of, because chlamydia, you can get rid of it. Herpes, no, you're stuck with it for life. It really sucks. I don't know from experience, but, I'd imagine that herpes kind of sucks.
I mean, I'm sure they all suck.
Yeah, but herpes is life, and if chlamydia just burns for a little bit.
Herpes is a lifelong battle.
Yeah.
Whereas...
Yeah. It's like constantly being attacked by genital warts.
Where, you can clam it up every once in a while.
First of all, that was disgusting. Second of all, we need to discuss genital orcs. So, there you go. If I'm going to leave you with that. Yeah, I got nothing else. Save sex, make your friends laugh.
That's actually what the Warcraft movie was about. Was genital orcs.
Yeah, genital orcs. Whorecraft. We got to end on Whorecraft. I'm out, guys. That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So with that, follow us on Twitter. I'm at Trevor Oz. He's at Ian Parisi. If you have the means, you can come out to Toronto or Dillonvale this weekend to see some Black Diamond Wrestling, as we will be in Toronto on the 18th and in Dillonvale on the 19th.
Toronto, Ohio.
Yes, Toronto, Ohio. Yes. So if you have the means, please come out and check out the show and have fun and watch some professional wrestling and your favorite wrestling commissioner, which is me. Do his thing.
Awesome.
But other than that, thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. Subscribe on iTunes. Tell your friends to subscribe on iTunes. Share this and tell them.
Because if we made you laugh, let us make someone else laugh on your behalf.
Yeah, just tell them. Just be like, fuck you, listen to this.
Fuck you, pay me.
Or just put it on a thumb drive and throw it at them and be like, listen to this.
Thugonomics 101.
Yeah. Word life.
Intro to get money.
Basic thugonomics. John Cena. John Cena knows Chinese, everybody.
You can't see me.
John Cena learned fucking Chinese.
I thought it was Mandarin.
Well, it's
Mandarin Chinese.
Mandarin is, I guess there are different Chinese
delicious
languages.
Oranges.
Yeah, very delicious. All right, guys.
Word.